pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just note that Selectman Bowen is not here, and he may not be here. Is there any public comment?
Paul Sponheimer, 25 Falcon Drive. Here just to ask, and maybe I'm in the wrong place, in regards to the towing that's going on in the town of Seymour. Question as a taxpayer, why we are having more out-of-town towing companies, towing cars in Seymour, the Derby, the Ansonia, being stored there, instead of something that's gone on for 100 years here in the town of Seymour by our local tax-paying property owners. And I'm just wondering if the board is aware of this.
I can't respond, can I? I'll respond in Selectwoman's comments.
Pardon?
I'll mention it in the Selectwoman's comments.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? No other public comment. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 23rd, 2022 special meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Al Bruno, second by Trish Danka. Discussion? No discussion?
Yes, if I
Oh,
may.
sorry.
I got my copy on my desk. I highlighted.
Okay.
Just give me a moment, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Item number 6, our monthly discussion regarding the power contract. I don't think that the motion that's printed adequately reflects what was intended in the motion. And this is something that I have some concern about. Not concern, but I'm an FOI geek, and our motions are supposed to articulate the subject matter and be articulate as to exactly what we're acting on. I think this motion is a little too general, because council at that meeting said that we could attach conditions to the motion. One condition was that First Selectwoman's office talked to her about the contract, but the possibility of increases. Another was that you had discretion to assign who you thought was best. And in this state, the price appears available. I just don't think that the motion as written articulate. We probably didn't articulate it clearly enough for the clerk. So I think we should each articulate the motion instead of saying so moved after the discussion. Because then we move it to the clerk to try to translate what we're saying.
I think what we need to do, Fred, is make sure we clarify that motion when we start with, which I thought we were doing pretty well,
yep.
but it didn't get captured here for whatever reason. So let's make sure that at the start of the conversation, we articulate the motion clearly, we know what we're acting on, and if needed, we can ask the secretary to read it back and make sure it's accurate before we vote on it. I think that's
I agree.
right.
I agree. And I think we'll help the secretary clerk out of this. She's shaking her head.
Yes, I agree.
Hold it down.
There you go. Okay.
Page 4, under my name, it states it was his, meaning mine, class 50th reunion. It was my 50th graduation anniversary, class anniversary. Our reunion is in November. Not that it's a big deal, it's just clarifying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Sarah, so just to make sure that we captured it, under, because we're gonna have to go back and, we'll go back and we'll amend the minutes. So, under item 6, the motion was to authorize the first selectwoman's office to move forward with the contract under condition number 1 with the contact Pura, P-U-R-A, to see if we could get any heads up if there is going to be a increase in pricing, or if they knew of any increase in pricing coming down the road. And then the other motion was to lock in, and so, correct me if I'm wrong, to lock in when the prices seem to be their best. Is that correct, Board?
I believe so.
agree.
Okay. Okay. Then the other motion was under Selectmen's comment for Fred Stanek this was Fred Stanek's graduating 50th, his graduating class 50th anniversary.
Yes, thank you.
Okay?
May I inquire whether it's the board's intention to amend and correct the minutes to reflect the two changes that were discussed?
Is it the board's pleasure?
Yes.
Because there was no motion made to actually change the minutes.
Sorry. Thank you. Motion by Al,
Second.
second by Bob Finley. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay. Item number 5, discussion with Public Works Director Frank Gabinelli, and a little bit more detail could have been put on his, but as you know, or as this was, except for Fred, you haven't been on this board. We, prior to COVID, while Kurt was here, we would ask that we have a department head come to us monthly to give a monthly update as to where they are, what are they doing, how are things going, what do they see down the road. I mean, we're trying to have each department head come in and do that on a monthly basis, just so we weren't bombarded, because we were trying to do it quarterly at first, and then our meetings were just tied up that way. So we decided to take each department head at one of our meetings in Town Hall, our selectmen meeting. So so it should have said, discussion with Public Works Director Frank Gabinelli for Public Works update. That, we talked to Stephen about that. So, Frank Gabinelli.
If I may then, I'd like
Sure.
to incorporate that as a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay. Okay. To make sure
To-
the
to-
agenda is clear,
To
yes. Yes.
include the language for a periodic update.
Can I have a motion to amend the agenda, item number 4, to read discussion with Public Works Director Frank Gabinelli for an update regarding the Public Works Department?
So moved.
Number 5.
Number 5, I apologize, number 5. Motion, Bob Finley, second by Fred Stanek, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Abstains? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Go ahead, Fred.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
First, for those of you who may not know me personally, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to serve as the Public Works Director for Seymour. I'm a lifelong resident of Seymour and have been an employee of the Public Works Department for 23 and a half years. For the past 6 years, I've worked alongside our former director to move this department forward in a positive and productive manner. It is my goal moving forward to continue to grow our department, maintain a standard of excellence, and provide a quality service to the residents of Seymour. I am proud to say I feel that we have the best public works department. Some of the projects I will be trying to get accomplished will be to get the compactor at the transfer station restructured and resited. The compactor is original to the transfer station from the early 70s and is in need of upgrading. After our recent meeting with Oak Ridge at the end of May, when the town put them on 90 days notice for poor service, they've been willing to work with us and have offered to waive the labor charges to perform the work needed if we supply the materials. This is a huge savings to the town, and I had enough funding in last year's budget to make a transfer and cover the cost of the materials. What I'll also like to try to address some, would also like to try and get some of the fencing repaired at the transfer station. Add a second used motor oil tank, so when the first one is full and being tested, we don't have any interruption in service to our residents. I'm also looking to install more signage to make it easier for our residents to properly dispose of their trash. I've already begun working with the Board of Public Works on updating our fee schedule for the transfer station. This hasn't been updated in over 15 years. I am currently looking at the town and our surrounding area, similar in size and population, to compare fees. We are also looking at a fee for service when it comes to bulk pickup. As you all know, with the rising cost of fuel and tipping fees, this will help offset some of the costs to the town. I'm currently working on putting a spreadsheet together showing what it actually costs the town per month for the 7 months we do the bulk pickup. Also, with the Board of Public Works and our IT department, we are working on getting internet service at the transfer station so we can install security cameras that can be monitored from the Public Works facility. The internet would also allow myself and Town Hall to be able to access and generate reports from our new scale. We are hopeful to have this done by the end of July, depending on Comcast. Some of the other upcoming projects I will be involved in is the construction of our new DPW storage building, the installation of the fuel tanks and gas pump systems. A lot of these projects mentioned are also part of my strategic plan, which I provided each one of you a copy. Our day-to-day, we are potholes, curbing, we're starting to paint the crosswalks, stop aheads, and we're busy mowing. If anyone has any questions or concerns, I can help try to answer.
Anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say that I've heard nothing but favorable comments about you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
The work you're doing to put the data together, when do you think that will be done? Will we get a chance to see it?
For the bulk pickup,
Yeah.
I would like to get a couple, 3, maybe 4 months of data for fuel usage and amount of loads, what we're paying for the tipping fees and stuff before I brought it before the board.
We'll get the chance to see it.
Yeah, well, what I want to do is, I want to get it to my board first and then bring it to you guys.
Thank you for the strategic plan.
That's perfect. Make her real.
It's a learning process for me, but with the help of Rory and some other people, we're getting it done.
Is this, do you know if other, I don't even know if other towns, I feel like we're ahead of the ballgame, but is it like 3 years about what's right for a public works department? Should it be a little bit longer, or is
For
that?
strategic planning,
Yeah.
if it's capital, like if you're planning ahead for capital, like the cost of the trucks is becoming immense. They went from like 180 to 200, now I'm being told they're 250. So,
Put that kind of stuff in there.
okay.
It helps the town
Sure.
know what you see forecasted so
Yep.
that they can start planning.
Okay, absolutely.
Really helpful.
Excellent report. The only thing I want to say is, Frank, it's been a seamless transition so far from what I've heard, and at graduation on the 22nd, it was everything was pristine. I know that may not be your jurisdiction per se. I know it may be Tim's, but you've been working really well in tandem with Tim and the Board of Ed and the town and making sure everything looks great. So we appreciate that.
Can I ask you a question while you're in front of us, rather than making a comment later? Because I was going to say something later. On Pearl Street, what's Public Works responsibility where the fences are on the sidewalks, as far as like, because I'm not sure what's privately owned or what
Is it getting
town
out of
should.
control?
It is, it's hard to
We'll take
walk
care
on
of
the
it.
sidewalks.
We'll take care of it. You're talking right up from your house going back towards Lake Pond?
Yeah, I hate to bring it up because I
It's
do
okay.
live over there, but there's 2 fences on either side when you walk.
we
There's
try
one
to
near the
stay-
apartments.
Yep,
And then there's one, I think it's fencing right above Stoddard.
okay.
That might be privately owned, but everything, all the overgrowth is going right over.
We'll take a look. I know we've done it in the past.
Yeah, the sidewalks end
we're
up
kinda-
getting so narrow.
I was a little up against it the last month with vacations and then the new, I'm sure you're all aware of the new cemetery we took care of. It takes 5 guys 6 hours to do that cemetery. So, with the new budget, I can get some seasonals in.
Didn't we talk about that?
did.
So,
did.
I'm hoping now with the new budget, we can get some seasonals in.
Yeah.
So like pick up a little bit of the slack. Because June, graduation takes up a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, so how many hours do you think the new cemetery ended up adding to your?
It's 5 to 6 hours for 5 guys. So I was doing it once a week. We cut it back to twice a month. Yeah.
Because we're doing two cemeteries, so
Right.
we're not only doing Union, we're doing the other
I
one.
know.
I think that's good, Frank.
Yeah.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it gets out of control, if we get a lot of rain or something.
Then you have to
Yeah,
go.
well, that's
we
the, that's
we
the
have to
big
address it.
Right.
We haven't had a lot of rain.
Right.
We'll try to adapt to it.
Sure.
but-
It's probably sufficient.
I appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, I appreciate your support. Can't do it without support.
You have a great team there. Took over in the leadership without missing a beat. I love your ideas about the transfer station. And Oak Ridge doing the work they need to do, as well as making it environmentally friendly. With changing things around up there, the plantings that you're thinking about.
I do have a lot of plans for up there. It's just it's going to take time because it's such a big undertaking. I want to professionalize it, make it look much more presentable as you come in there. If it's
Right.
clean,
Right in here, my friend. Detail it out a little bit,
Okay.
and then you can chunk it out. Even,
Sure.
the town has a 10-year plan, so just if you can, whatever you can fit in that period,
Sure.
just each year you chip away.
It's perfect for that.
okay. Yeah, I'm just getting into that. It's all new to me, but
I mean,
I
next,
do want to clean that place up because if you keep it clean, people won't just go out there and put stuff.
exactly.
You know what I mean? You're still going to have to watch, but everybody.
Call me, I'd be happy to help, or go see the strategic planning committee. Probably the right place to go, but
Okay.
I love seeing people who want to figure out how to make this work.
Besides,
Once
next
you get
to-
going, it's not too hard.
Next to Rocky's Deli, transfer station's the next big meeting place. It is.
No, this is true.
It is.
I don't think it's Rocky's Deli.
What is it
Is
called?
it? Did they change it?
John's Deli?
No,
Lucky's.
But when I said Rocky's Deli, everybody knew what I was speaking about.
Well, James is here to you.
the sign is so distinctive.
It is very distinctive. Thank you, Frank. Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good report, Frank.
Okay, item number 6. Action in lieu of a special town meeting. A supplemental appropriation of American Rescue Plan Act funds in excess of $100,000 for a payloader. I need a motion to appropriate money from the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of no more than $182,550 for a payloader for Public Works.
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Bob Finley. Any discussion?
Just, as I stated last time, Frank, and I'm going to divert to Frank, but I'm just going to make a couple of comments. The current piece of equipment that we have is the workhorse of the department. It gets used continuously on a daily basis for various tasks. In the wintertime, it's not only utilized for loading our trucks with sand and material, but it's also utilized downtown where we have a big accumulation of snow where we have to pick it up, put it in one of our trucks, and haul it off. So if it breaks down, we're in serious trouble. Our backup piece is a much smaller payloader, and it just would not, I mean, the time that it would take for us to be loading with that small unit compared to our big Volvo, you just can't compare them. It's like night and day. So,
Thank you, Pat. As you know, we had voted on this at our last meeting to move the funds from the ARP. but we had to send it to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance approved it at their meeting. Now it's coming back to us for that, and we had the town meeting and no one showed. Is there any other discussion on that?
I'll wait. I was going to say something, but I'm not. Thank you.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, go ahead.
I would just ask that you note on the minutes of the Board of Selectmen meeting, like you did for the town meeting, that the lack of a quorum was not due to inclement weather.
Correct. Correct. So Sarah, want to make sure, so, can I have a second? Oh, we did. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Sarah, I just want to make sure you have that motion correct. $182,500. For Public Works. Okay, thank you. Okay. Discussion and take possible, item number 7. Discussion and take possible action regarding the appropriation of American Rescue Plan Act funds for the Board of Education relocation program, a project. The first one is plumbing, not to exceed $23,100. Again, I ask for a motion to,
I'll make a motion to appropriate from the ARP funds for the Board of Education relocation project. Funds not to exceed $23,100 for plumbing. We're going to do these as separate motions,
yes,
right?
correct. Motion by Trish,
I will second the motion.
second by Fred Stanek. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. No, Pat Lombardi left, so he could not vote.
I'll make a motion to appropriate from the ARP funds for the Board of Education relocation project not to exceed $69,300 for electrical.
And I will likewise second that motion.
Second by Fred Stanek. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Please note Pat Lombardi's absent. Okay. Sarah, did you get those?
Not to exceed.
Thank
Yes.
you. Sorry, we just want to make sure.
Got this pain in the butt over here. Me.
No, sir. We want to make sure we're
Just being accurate.
being accurate as possible. Okay. Number 8, discussion and take possible action to extend the license agreement between Cocoa Animals Rescue Effort of Seymour Incorporated and the town of Seymour for the property at 115 Silver Mine Road. In your packet, I left you copies of years of contracts that we've had with Coco's. As you know, Coco's is where the old Seymour Dog Pound used to be. The town owns that building, we maintain that building, but we lease it out to Coco's on an annual basis for $10 a year. I would like to actually change it from a year to go to a 2-year contract. This way we're not doing this every year. Coco's Rescue has to carry the insurance. They have to continually show us the insurance that they have. It's, yeah.
It's only 1 year.
We tried doing it more than 1 year. Rory tried a couple of times, and the board would just not, for some reason, the board would not give it more than a year. But we'd like to do it for at least every 2 years.
What is the town's responsibility, like, if we have to fix something, if it breaks, like what, I understand you're saying it's town property, but. what's
So
our
if there's a
culpability?
water leak, or the heater runs out, the heater stops, right, Rory? Roof leak?
It's an item number 4 on your,
They've actually
Page
taken
2.
care of some of the things themselves. They notify us, but for example, there's a drain on the exterior that was clogged recently, and we worked with them. Frank was able to help them get a much better price, but they jetted it out, and they paid for that, so.
I don't have a problem with extending the lease are doing this for them. I think it's an important mission. But I also recall that building's gonna have an end of life at some point, and because when it was built, wasn't it only supposed to be viable for 10 years or something like that? And how old is it now? Yeah, I think a lot older than 10 years. So I just want us to be aware of the increased cost to maintain the building or even keep it as we go. That's my only concern. I don't have a concern, again, with the mission or giving them the lease to the property for that amount, but we have to know when to call it a day.
So,
If I may,
go ahead.
I will make a motion. I would like to move that the license agreement between the town of Seymour as licensor and Coco's Animal Rescue Efforts of Seymour Incorporated as licensee be extended for a period of 2 years for the period from July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2024, and that the first selectwoman be authorized to sign an extension to the agreement.
Second by Bob. Discussion?
So this is an extension of an existing agreement.
Correct?
Yes.
That's gonna be updated now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, the information that's contained in here, there are no changes.
Correct,
Except for the term.
except for the
Except for
term.
the terms, exactly.
That's correct, right, Rich?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Sarah, did you get that? Did you hear that clearly?
Yeah, I have motion to extend license agreement
July 1st, that starts our fiscal year 2022.
to June 30th, 2024. I heard that part. And agreement to be signed by the person.
Was that your?
The extension,
The extension, so it doesn't have to come in
Extension
front
of
of
the
the
agreement.
board again. Super sewer.
This is the original.
That's the original, yep. But I wanted to make sure everybody had the data.
I think to Trish's point though, Anne Marie, we do need to have like a next steps with taking assessment of that building.
Yep.
When we might need to find another place for them if we have anything, or letting them know when this is gonna end, because they might have to find a new space, to Trish's point, for safety or cost or whatever it may be with that building, so. That's all. I just think if we do it now, if we're planful now, we don't have to react later, and we don't have any hurt feelings later with them, because they do great work, and they've been a great ally for the town. We want to make sure the communication lines are open and everybody's on the same page with that building. It's a good point, Trish.
Absolutely. I know they have, Tim Connors, and they speak if there's something wrong. So once we do reevaluation of the buildings, Tim will let them know the life expectancy of that.
Great.
Okay?
there's going to be space at 98 Bank Street.
It's one way to get them out of there.
Fred.
There will be.
There will be.
There will be.
Number 9, discussion and take possible action regarding the memorandum of understanding with Bird Rides to provide electric scooters to the town of Seymour. With that is going to be EDC Director Sheila O'Malley to discuss this. You're welcome. In your packet, you have the information. Some information.
I'm here to just.
She's gonna speak into the
briefly go over
mic.
Program.
Speak into the mic.
You want the mic?
All right, I'll stand up there. Sorry, I have ink on my shirt. It's empathetic. Sorry, I apologize.
We understand.
Yes, so I wanted to briefly give a summary of this program and answer any questions you might have. And I can also get Jeremy Lynch, who is the Senior Account Executive, answer any questions. I can get them on the phone if there's something that I can't answer. We just went through this in Ansonia. There is no insurance that the town needs. Everything is insured under the company. There's no, the only thing they are asking for is places to place their bikes. They drop off the bikes, probably about 50 here in Seymour. You give them the parameters of where you would like the bikes, if it's town-wide or if you just want to concentrate in the downtown area. You tell them where you would like, what kind of a radius you would like the bikes to have. Everything is done through your phone and mobile app. People pay for the ride. There are discounts for senior citizens and for veterans and for government officials, or government employees. Trying to think. They have what's called a bike manager person, and that person is in charge of collecting the bikes wherever they drop them off. You can't really do much with them. They're very heavy, so it's not like someone could steal them, although someone was very creative in Ansonia. A couple of high school kids disassembled the bicycle, and they found it, and they had to, yeah, it was pretty bad.
Did that cost the town any money?
It did not cost. There's no liability issues for the town, right, Rich?
Yeah,
Just put me on the spot. I mean,
Throwing it under the
their
bus.
insurance covers all of
I'll
them.
let you go
I
first.
love this idea. I guess I'm just having trouble envisioning how
Where the
we're
bike-
utilizing it in Seymour. I mean, because of the main roads, the hills,
Yep.
downtown's kind of compact, so help me out.
Yep, I mean, I think probably, take some time to look at a map and see exactly where you want them. We have, some of ours are, up by the high school, like by Ansonia High School. I know you don't want Seymour's up that way, 'cause it's too far out.
Maybe the library.
You can have an exchange program with Ansonia. You can come down North Main Street. I'm not sure if that's dangerous or not, but.
That's
you
why
know.
I'm having difficulty
that's my,
envisioning
I
where
think
it's
that's my
going.
first question, Sheila, just from a risk management
Yes.
standpoint. Have we done a risk management assessment and see what other towns do and see what has not worked in terms of liability and 18-year-olds to 22-year-olds that might take a little
Yep.
more risk than others riding these things, you know,
Yep,
to be kind.
understood.
So just,
Maybe you want to talk to Jeremy about that. I do know that these programs are pretty successful in places like Bridgeport and New Haven, where it's really densely
Right.
populated and there's a lot of traffic. And they're successful nonetheless, even with respect to, you know, is it dangerous to ride them in those areas and so forth. And we're a little bit more spread out, so I don't know that you have the same risk. The town,
well, it depends on the perimeters
Yeah.
you put on it, the constraints, like you said,
Yes.
geographically. But I'm just looking at, has this company done any kind of risk management assessment for Seymour? And I'm sure they did one for Ansonia. So that's a similarly situated community. So I'd be curious as to what the downtown assessment looked like, what it looked like in the more suburban areas as opposed to downtown. I would be curious because I think it's a good idea. You have less cars on the road, and if, you know, kids want to get from point A to point B with them to go to each other's houses or go downtown to shop or go grab ice cream, I'm just, you know, I think it's a good idea. In theory, I would just like to have a little more risk management context.
yeah, okay. Let me see if I can get Jeremy.
I'm not against it. I'm just saying that I'd like to be a little better informed before I.
I've seen a lot of towns
Mike,
where it makes
go forward.
sense. When I think of Seymour, I don't see how it makes sense.
Yeah, I
'Cause
don't see
the
where
one
it's
thing- the
going
one thing
other
I
than
know-
downtown.
When I
think the
see
whole-
towns like where you'll see them laying all over the place sometimes, you know, and
Hang on
I'm
one
hit or
second.
miss on whether it's worth it for Seymour to be involved in something like that, unless we were gonna do something where you could go all the way to Ansonia with it, or, because there's certain areas, you know.
Yeah, we were thinking about, sorry Jeremy, I'm in front of the Board of Selectmen here in Seymour, but we were thinking about, exchange program between, go watch a show at the Strand and go eat dinner in Ansonia, something like that. But I guess the whole idea from my perspective is you're drawing people in, right? People want to see something new, they want to do something new, they want to experience something new. So, it's kind of like drawing attention to your downtown or wherever you bring the bikes, you're going to be bringing people that want to come into your town. Oh, Seymour has bikes, let me try it, let me go on the Riverwalk, let me do whatever. But Jeremy, so the question is, and Bruno, I don't know, Selectman Bruno could probably re-ask the question, but it's a risk management. Have we done a risk management for Seymour, or is there such a thing that?
You mean, am I concerned that scooters would be some form of dangerous in Seymour, or?
Right.
No, I'm just looking for a risk management assessment as to what are the issues with the bikes? What are the cons? What are the concerns with traffic, accidents, people 18 to 22 riding them? Safety issues, that kind of thing. What's the data on that? That's all.
We don't have sidewalks going up.
No, I think it'd be better if we can maybe convey some questions to him and we can talk, because this is not conducive.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't hear him.
It's not-
so-
it's not productive.
They're having trouble hearing you off from the cell phone, so maybe,
Would it be possible to have him come
would
before the board?
it be possible to come to the next meeting this month,
Just to answer some questions.
just to answer some questions?
Yeah, but
It's the,
format you guys have now.
We don't do, we're in
Can we do
live.
Zoom? Can we Zoom with them?
We could.
Good.
Okay.
The next
Not
meeting is
Zoom.
July 19th.
July 19th, Jeremy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's do that then.
What about helmets? You have to wear a helmet with a bike. What happens with helmets?
Great,
don't.
Questions
thanks.
for him.
I'll
It's
share
that
it with
they
them.
don't have to wear helmets.
You don't have
I've
to
seen
wear
them
helmets.
all over. Now, in a big
You
city,
don't?
it makes sense because you have to get to certain areas in a big city. I don't see it Seymour.
Okay.
You know, you're gonna really ride on 30 or 67,
But
or
they're
you're gonna
talking
really
about
ride.
going to Ansonia.
Well,
There's no
that
sidewalks there.
that's if we allow that.
Yeah.
Right?
That might be where the plan
Yeah, we'll do
Listen,
that.
there's a lot of
Yeah, we'll
markings.
send
The
them
cities
on
I've
to
seen,
Jeremy and they can
there's a
pass
lot
it
of
away.
markings. You know,
So
they have their
I can
own
only go
space
so
on the
far.
road, the whole bit, right? So I
alright.
don't know.
is. Share the road.
And,
Thanks.
you know, if you ride, you're gonna allow them to ride on sidewalks, because what they do, some places don't allow you to ride on sidewalks, some places do.
In Seymour, you
I've
can
seen
actually
them all
ride your
over,
bikes in
so.
Seymour. It's an ordinance in Seymour. You cannot ride your
Yeah,
bikes in
you
Seymour.
can't ride the scooters on sidewalks.
Certain towns you can, so it depends on the
Well,
town.
This
This,
company doesn't allow
Yeah.
it.
So, all right, so we'll have him here July 19th at our meeting. We'll do a Zoom meeting as well.
Yeah.
And we can ask him all the questions we have so everybody can compare.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I'm just telling you that
I know.
it's something, it's a nice amenity that we have in Ansonia, and it's working really well. People are using it, but it might not be for you folks, I don't know.
We can prepare all our questions
It's not
and
gonna
ask them
hurt me.
then.
What is the frequency of use in Ansonia?
We just
5
got,
people using them
yeah,
a day,
we just
10?
got data, like 600 miles were used last month. It's like incredible. The
Yeah.
bikes are everywhere, we're seeing them everywhere.
I think
I
you're,
saw
the
them at
way you
Target.
guys are, the way you're situated, it actually makes sense for Ansonia. I'm not sure about Seymour though. You know, that's the only thing, because the way you guys are
Down
spread
the road.
out, it kind of makes sense. I
And with
could
all the
see.
restaurants downtown. Yeah.
They're using
I mean,
them
this gives us
everywhere,
time to
though.
think about it when he
Yep.
comes in, but
Yep.
like I said, downtown's so compact, I can't envision where else you're gonna take it.
Yeah. Okay.
I passed someone on 67 in Oxford the other day, and he was having trouble with the scooter and, affecting traffic on the highway.
So, Madam Chairman, I'd make a motion that we table this item until we meet with the representative via Zoom or other on the 19th.
Second the motion.
Motion by Pat Lombardi, second by Fred Stanek. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I like to, all right, first selectwoman's report, item number 10. Okay. So, in regards to the towing, our police chief had received a lot of complaints about towing, tow trucks being taken over several hours to get to scenes, officers being tied up, the scenes being tied up. He had a meeting with the commissioners, he had a meeting with the towing committee, and he says they like to go outside to bid. They did some data research showing that maybe every 2 incidents for towing, maybe one of them was in Seymour. A lot of the vehicles that were towed, out of the eight vehicles that were towed since this has changed, 2 of them were in town, Seymour residents, the rest were out-of-town residents. It was all about response time. The bid was opened to everybody in the valley to respond, Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, and they put a list together. Again, public road safety is the police chief's responsibility and the commissioners, so they had that choice. It's nice to be able to give to the small businesses in town, and it's nice to have them do the work. Some of them didn't have the trucks that could do the work. Some of them are called, but I guess it's the response time is what the police department is looking at. They said that they will be able to have them come back and reevaluate the situation. I believe they said in the meeting in January.
That's when the contract comes due the next.
That's when the contract comes due, would be in January. So we all sat here, we had a meeting. The police chief heard the tow truck drivers. I heard the tow truck companies as well. And I would like to keep small businesses in Seymour and like to give the work to the businesses in Seymour. However, it's out of my jurisdiction. But that is why it was changed, is because the time of the scene was longer. They weren't responding fast enough. So that's why the chief decided to make that decision. They are going to reevaluate it and go from there. Was brought up as to why, now the residents of Seymour have to go out of Seymour to go to Ansonia. They have to go to Derby to pick up their car. The data they had showed that they weren't really a lot of Seymour residents, and the cars were going to Ansonia to Derby. But that's why that was brought up. They did come to me. I did hear them out. I had the chief here, the deputy chief here. I think Rory was in that meeting as well. I had Brian Leclerc here as well, the town attorney, to hear it, as to make sure that the town itself was not doing anything wrong, and it isn't, because public safety is really the police commissioner's responsibility, and the police commissioners gave it to the chief. They have noticed, though, that the scenes are wrapping up a lot faster, and we're able to get the officers back on the road and to the scene, because we do have a contract where we're only allowed to have 5 officers on at a time, and if we have a big scene and we have more officers there, then we have to call in officers in, and that creates overtime.
How many tows we do a year? Do we have any of that data?
The police department has that
Yeah.
information. That information is not,
As much as I agree with keeping it in town, I'll just give you a perspective from a motor vehicle accident scene, okay? And we've had several in the town where the fire department and the police department have been involved, okay? And a lot of times, okay, our local vendors, whomever, okay, do not have the proper equipment, okay, to facilitate what we need to get done, to get that vehicle that's gone 150 feet down the gully and really needs to be raised with a heavy-duty wrecker.
Yeah, just like that big truck that went up Great Hill, right?
Right. We just had last week up on Skullcrack Street.
and then there was just one on Great Hill Road. They
Right,
quoted
exactly.
2 the company called in their own private records because they needed 2 heavy duties to straighten that trailer out.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out, you know. I'd love to see all of our people that are on the bid list in town take advantage of those opportunities, but sometimes it does require to go outside of the community to get the resources available to get the job done.
So, still under Selectwoman's report, so I've been receiving, some phone calls on my personal phone very late at night, hoping that I could sleep because, they can't sleep, worrying about, paying their mortgage and feeding their children, and it must be nice that I can sleep, and the phone calls are very late at night. And somehow my number got put out on Facebook. I don't care, my number is out there, I want the residents to call me, but I ask for a little bit respect as well, I do have a family as well. And I too do have to pay taxes in this town. My taxes went up $200 a month for my mortgage payment. My house is worth more money now than it was when I bought it. So with anything costing more money, the higher taxes you pay. Unfortunately, per the Connecticut state statute, the reevaluations have to be done every 5 years. We did ask the governor during COVID if he would please allow us to give away 1 year, go 1 year without doing the revals, and he said no, he could not. So with that, the revals were done in 2020, causing everybody's increase to go up. Now here we are, the governor capped our mill rate for vehicles. Remember, we had that meeting, and our mill rate was going to be much lower on our car taxes than they were on our property tax. Remember that?
Yeah.
So the mill rate came down, and everybody's car taxes should have been lowered, right? The mill rate's down, our car taxes should be lowered. Well, the car taxes weren't lower. The car taxes are much higher because why?
That's based on the value of the vehicle, right?
Based on the
You
value
can't
of the
find a
vehicle.
used car and you can't get a new car. If you get a new car, it's MSRP. If you get a used car, the value's through the roof. So your used vehicle is worth more than it was
Than it
a year
ever has
ago,
been.
2 years ago.
Exactly.
So you're gonna pay more.
And that's what people have to check. People have to look back.
You've let the blue book, also blue book their cars, to
Right.
make sure you understand what the value is, and maybe check the assessment. I
Well,
don't know.
that-
But
that's-
yeah,
that's
they're worth
exact-
more.
That's exactly what Joe uses.
Right. I'm sure he
I had a
does.
question several years ago on one of my vehicles, and he went in, exactly what he said. That figure was the exact figure that was on my bill. Okay, the value has gone, to your point, the value has gone up, okay?
We've been
Because of-
following economics for the past 12 months,
Right.
18 months in terms of vehicles. You know that it's very difficult to find a used car, number one.
And they're all
And
expensive.
if you can, the cost is going to be through the roof because the value is so much more than it was 2 years ago. And that's for a group of factors, not just the war in Ukraine or the fact our economy is starting to go into a recession, but other things are thriving in terms of tech, and it's just a kind of a messy economy right now. It's kind of a boomflation economy, but it's
Even on
starting to
new
slow
cars.
down. And even new cars, you can't get them.
No.
You can't get them off the boat.
You're
You
waiting
can't get them
months,
here.
a year for your vehicle to come in.
So it's just, that's the fact. It has
That's
nothing to
unfair.
do with the Anne Marie or our town. This is what's happening internationally. This is it.
Well, in some states, they don't pay car taxes because they pay the taxes on the car when they bought it, but this is the way Connecticut is, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I want to make sure that people out there understand that if the taxes in town get raised, right, I don't have a free pass. I have to pay taxes just like everybody else. Every board official, whether they're elected, voted in, volunteer their time, sit on an appointed board or an elected board, they all have to pay taxes.
And they're not discounted either.
And they're not discounted. Our fire department and our EMS, they get, EMS being our ambulance, they get abatements, but even those abatements aren't giving them away free taxes.
They're tiny abatements.
They're tiny
And
abatements.
they
They're not
only
big
get them if
abatements.
they meet certain thresholds.
That's
It's
right.
not a free pass.
There's
There's a
standards and
criteria,
qualifications.
there's a criteria around it.
So someone said, well, our taxes have been raised for the past 2 years. Our taxes have been raised very little. Our mill rate when I came into office on October 28th, 2020, when this board elected me in to sit in for Kurt, right, was at 36. When I came in, and I did my first budget, I knocked it down to 34 and 7/8, Rory?
That's right. Roughly. Right? Yeah.
3471. But there was a slight increase. And granted, our taxes should have went down, right? As our grand list grew, the taxes and the mill rate should have went lower. But because our houses were worth more money, your taxes went up. And in order to continue to move this town forward, by getting the streets done, by continuing payroll and employee resources and paying the employees and electricity and gas, before they even skyrocketed, we had to do a little bit of a tax increase, right? And this year, we still went only up a little bit, but because we had the issue across the bridge. We had to help across the bridge. And that's what we do, because the Board of Ed can't carry a deficit. The town takes that deficit anyway, right? So we had to help, so we have to raise taxes. We could go back to the days of not raising taxes.
But then again, things will be falling apart. The roads won't get taken care of.
The roads that
infrastructure
were
will
never
crumble.
taken care of, and
Were
now
never
we're living
taken
with
care
it.
of The past
So-
30 years. Right.
So-
at some point, you gotta pay the fiddler.
At some point in time, but
It
I
is.
want people to understand that it's not me just not caring about this, the administration not caring. I do care, because if your taxes go up, my taxes go up. My mortgage payment went up $200. Sucks to be me, I have an 18-year-old kid going in college, but that's just the way it is. I can't,
No.
I'm not putting the blame on anybody else, but I just want people to understand, we had our budget, Board of Finance, we had our budget meetings, we had our ARP meetings, we put everything out there. The budget vote, I think we had what, Rory, 900 people vote on the budget?
About 1,200? 1,100?
A little over 1,000. How many registered voters do we have? 6,000? Close to 10, right?
It's 10
Every
plus.
resident received a postcard as to when the budget referendums were, when they were to vote. If people don't go out and vote, this is the way it is. That one meeting we had with the Board of Finance, there was 30 people here for the Board of Ed. And that is, their voices were heard, and the Board of Finance.
More than that. I'd
Yeah.
say more than 30.
More than 30.
Yeah.
The Board of Finance
50,
took what
60.
they had to say, and they gave the Board of Ed the money needed to continue increasing our school and taking care of our children.
You
It wasn't a
you
big
gotta
increase.
come out and vote. You gotta come out and vote.
What else did I have? We could, the way I can reduce 1.5 mils right now in the next year's budget, and that's if I take trash away. But then everybody has to pay for their own trash, and if the trash doesn't come get picked up, you gotta call. So we could reduce 1.5 mil if everybody paid for their own trash.
I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna pay for my own trash.
No.
Oxford
I
has
don't
to
wanna
pay
look
for
at
their
the
own
people
trash.
that
I don't
aren't
do that.
getting rid of their trash quick enough.
Right?
Well-
We have,
That's
people
dirty.
has asked what has gone on. We
Okay.
received, and Rosa, we have heard that we're going to receive, please note, Selectman Bowen's, arrival at 7:58. We have received word that we are getting a $10.1 million grant. Largest grant that we've ever received. Sheila went and applied for it. And it's to continue the road from Franklin Street, the Route 42 connector that we've been talking about for 20 years, to getting it going all the way to Beacon Falls. We were notified that we're receiving that grant, and when we put it out, I got complaints of, you're tearing down trees, you're gonna dislocate the animals that are there. Why can't you build in Tri-Town? Tri-Town's a private property, and we really can't go into that right now. Why can't you build on South Main Street, that old dilapidated garage? The town is foreclosing on that garage. That's public notice. That's in the court system. What about Spectre? Spectre's trying to put in the storage buildings, and people are complaining about that. Not the best thing that I want, but they're complaining about that. What about, Seymour Lumber? Those are all private industries, private properties. I will not go in for eminent domain, because if I go in for eminent domain, then I have to take town money that we don't have, buy that property at value, and then I have to use it for town purposes only. and it will not bring us revenue. It will not give us any money. It will actually cost us more money because I have to either have Public Works out mowing it, hire somebody like a splash pad, build it with money. We can to build it, then the chemicals to treat it in the summertime, winterize it, insurance, and somebody to watch it while the kids are there, right? Put a park in there. Got to have somebody maintain it, and it's not making us money. We need revenue coming into this town, and Sheila is working on it, and I'm working on it. I mean, as a board, we're working on it. But
And Sheila just started.
And she just started.
Still
And
wet
to get-
behind the ears, so we gotta give her a chance
Right.
to.
Doing great.
But she's already
She's been
made
doing
a
great.
ton of
Absolutely,
headway.
she has, but
So we got a grant for
we'll see more
downtown
later.
for the train station to beautify downtown. Rory and her are working on steep grants for the whole downtown area. So the town is moving, and because I can't give somebody answers about what's going on with this and what's going on with that, there are legalities that we cannot speak of, right? And things are moving around, we just have to wait. But you can't complain, well, you could complain, because anybody can complain, but we got a grant, it's going forward, and I don't know if anybody knows that Seymour Brass behind Stop and Shop was a manufacturing plating facility that closed in the late 80s, early 90s. So that's what that property was there for. It wasn't always all woods. It was a manufacturing facility.
Right.
And we're trying to move forward, but you can't move forward in a year, you can't move forward in 2 years. It takes
If people are
time.
concerned about what happens with that land, I suggest they go buy it. They can
Well,
buy
it's
it.
privately owned.
Oh, well, then go ask the owner. They want to
Okay.
buy it.
But let's
They wanna
make it clear,
keep
though,
trees.
it's okay for people to make comments and have their own
Absolutely.
opinions, okay? But I think what's important, what you're trying to relate to them is there's some facts behind it, there's reasons why we can't do certain things, and everybody's more than willing to come to our meetings and talk to us about it, or more than
Yeah.
willing to listen.
I'm in my office from 8 a.m. until probably 9 o'clock. I have an open door policy. We have our Board of Selectmen meetings, we have Board of Finance meetings, we have Board of Ed meetings. Anybody has a question, come to the meeting, ask the boards, that's what we're here for. Okay. That was my Selectwoman's report. Really sorry I went off on a tirade, but I just had to address.
No, you didn't. You clarified things.
I had to
So-
address things, and we're starting with that. Okay. Next, to take discussion and take possible action regarding the creation of the Seymour High School Lights Committee. So, the Seymour High School Lights Committee, we're calling it that because this committee is working on getting grants to put new lighting at the high school field, which is owned by the town, and at the football field, LED lighting, as well as the softball field. But what they're also going to be looking at, and Coach Sponheimer is here, and he's on that committee, or he's going to be appointed to that committee, whether he likes it or not, is also to look at how else we can do things. We always ask the town, and we're always asking the Board of Ed for more money but it never gets to the sports department, right? We thrive on football, we thrive on softball, we thrive on soccer, but we have to give back and show what a showcase these fields could be. We had the turf field put at $780,000. We just took ARPA money and put that in, so when that field goes, we have the money. We need a new scoreboard, we need a new announcer box, we need new PA systems. So the committee is looking to get grants for lighting, as well as maybe sell some advertising space on the fence or on the scoreboard to raise money to help put back into the fields, as well as advertisement, and to beautify the fields and make them more attractive. More attractive, more to have maybe tournaments, night games.
Generate some revenue.
Right, tournaments and revenue, but they're town fields, so that's why the town is taking this over, and we're gonna appoint a committee to see this through. The committee is going to have their own recording secretary, so the town doesn't have to worry about that. They're gonna record the meetings, they're gonna go to the meetings, they're gonna report back to this board as to what is going on.
Do you need
Yeah.
a motion?
Well, no, we're still talking.
Could the committee's mission or charge be expanded to include the press box?
It does, it does.
It does.
That's all part of it.
Okay. Okay, so we could on the record articulate the charge of the committee.
Should we change the name? 'Cause
I
it
want,
just
I want
says
to ask
lights.
about that.
We
Yeah,
could
it just
change
says
the
lights
li-
committee.
we
Can we
could-
call this Seymour Town and Board of Ed Lights Committee or
Or-
something that's
or-
more inclusive?
Or
that shows
field,
that-
or field enhancement committee, or,
I like the field enhancement
Something,
committee.
you know, something that,
Because it's not just,
Facilities,
yeah, it's not just Board of
Facilities,
Ed,
yeah.
it's Town and Board of Ed. So you want to show that.
Just box we're talking about, at Frank, whether we have sewers that run, maybe being on the Board of Ed, it should be the school, septic system. If we had permanent bathrooms up there, they burned down, they're still there. If we're gonna do this, do it right, instead of having 7 porta potties up there.
so, Paul, can we change it to like facilities enhancement?
Change anything.
Yeah, because then you could just, this way it doesn't limit it just to lights.
Well, that's what we're trying to get the full flavor of what's
I
going to be
think
done.
facility enhancements would be great,
You want
because
facilities though, because facilities would kind of include buildings.
How about sport facilities enhancement, or sport?
sports complex,
Sport
Sports
complex.
complex.
what is
Is
it?
it just a high? is
Just
it
a high school.
Just a high school sports complex enhancement committee?
That's an awfully long name.
I know. Coach Sponheimer will remember.
How about the Wildcats enhancement, sports enhancement committee? I don't care.
My only question is, if we're trying to make this more palatable for bringing in outside tournaments, et cetera, onto this field, what will that do to the maintenance schedule for the turf?
It's gonna be, so if we're bringing in more money, that money goes towards that.
Yeah, we could put
Some
stuff
of it would have to
aside.
be put
We
aside.
could
Yeah.
put aside money.
So we would make enough to offset for the shortened time
Mm-hmm.
span, basically. Okay.
How about Wildcat Sports Complex Enhancement Committee?
Fine. I like that.
Paul, you good with that?
That's
No,
it.
I think we just, but we do have to give it, give it a little more
We want to
rounded,
make sure it's
you know.
marketed right, Coach.
What,
And that
say
people
that again,
understand what the
Frank.
heck it is.
Fred,
One
Wildcats,
thing I don't want folks calling it is football.
Right.
Sports complex.
sports complex.
Right.
What?
Utilized by a lot of things, so we maybe someday a high school marching band.
Right.
Because we also have the tennis courts, and we have that practice field behind the clubhouse.
I just take out, just call it the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee.
Yep.
I mean, you don't need enhancement.
Yep.
We're doing things with it.
Right.
To Coach's point.
Yep.
Short and brief, but that's pretty good.
Okay,
Good.
I'll make a motion to create the Seymour High School Wildcat Sports Complex Committee.
Nope,
Second.
take out Seymour High School.
Yep, it's
Wildcat.
Wildcat
Wildcat.
Sports Complex Committee.
Make a motion to create the Wildcat Sports Complex
I'll second the motion.
Committee.
Exactly.
That's why I
Understood.
want to include town.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna say something, Rich? No. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I
That's-
think that's a first.
That's a first. That's a first.
We threw a hanger over the plate and he took it.
All right, here's the hanger. I understand Coach Sponheimer's point, and I understand everything you're doing, and that's a wonderful thing. But just to put it out there, there is a state statute that governs municipally owned property that has general good schools. I know you understand. So, just saying, big help.
Does that affect the name that we're throwing out there? Good.
Does it
You
affect
can
the name,
basically
that-
call it whatever you want.
but it means I have to go to the Board of Ed? Okay.
No,
Wait, I
wouldn't
don't
think
understand
so.
the risk either from what you said.
No, but the comment was, it's owned by the town of Seymour, so the town, what I don't want to do is let a false impression be created that the
Right.
field is controlled
By the town.
by the town. of
Correct.
Seymour.
The Board of Ed has,
Or Board of Ed.
Right.
Property
Right.
that is committed to the Board of Ed for Board of Ed purposes, controlled for the Board of Ed. Although in many towns, including Seymour, it's not a big deal, because you put on the TV down there, you can
Exactly,
Correct.
this,
And that's normal.
Right.
In every town.
We work
okay?
together.
the
We
Seymour,
all work
right.
together. But
Seymour
I just,
schools have
you know,
first say over
you know,
those fields.
You hear a statement and you just wanna remind.
Cross the i's and dot the t's.
Right. No, I understand, and
So
Seymour,
the reason I said no was, it's a long explanation, it's not gonna alter one single thing you're
Good.
doing. So then I decided it wasn't worth it, but.
I asked.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't a first.
So,
That was more than 2 cents worth.
So we're
I
sticking-
understand that the Seymour schools have first dibs on those scheduling. I understand that. But for maintenance and for money wise, this is not gonna come out of the Board of Ed's budget, so they don't have to budget for it. And this isn't gonna come out of the town's budget, so the town doesn't have to budget for it.
Correct.
This committee is gonna be in charge of the beautification, the raising of the funds, and getting the grants that need to be done to make everybody want to come to Seymour to use our fields.
And if I may,
Yes.
and to enhance the safety of the field and its
Exactly.
facilities.
Yes. Yes, because that press, and a new PA system too.
I have one question. We specifically did not use the name Seymour High School for this committee name, correct?
Correct.
No.
The reason I ask that question is because this could potentially, and Mr. Sponheimer, correct me if I'm off base, could this potentially be expanded to eventually consider other scholastic fields, like the middle school complex?
Maybe down the road.
That's what I'm thinking down the road.
That's the
I don't know.
Wildcat, I think we agreed in Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for now.
Yeah, down the road. I think right now the main purpose is, the main focus to make sure the football fields, the softball fields, the sports fields at the high school, the press box and everything up there has been upgraded and has been taken care of from a beautification and safety point before we move on to the middle school, which is a brand new field, a couple of years old, maybe 18 years old, or to any other field.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
You know, with a lot of respect, we call the field, the entire complex, the Barber Field. And with a lot of respect to Officer DeBarber, maybe we should think about renaming the complex, the Wildcat Sports Complex.
I don't know if I would do that right now. Let's just,
Okay. I'm
maybe
just
that-
saying,
maybe
something
down-
to think about.
yeah, maybe down the road.
But I did want to go on record too, the softball field had been looking for a press box as well, or something for them, just like you guys are for the football field, so that should be all incorporated
Right,
into
so when
that
they have their
discussion.
first meeting, we can just charge into their first meeting and tell them this is the list we
Okay,
want.
yeah.
Aren't you excited to work with us?
I just think that we already have somewhat of a list. And I think the list is presented to you before we do anything.
Right.
We're still.
Coach, why don't you come up and speak to it? We can talk about what we discussed at that meeting that night with Dr. Compton. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, various different things, especially try to make it as much of a revenue generating facility.
Exactly.
The thing at Seymour High School, what you have that other places don't have is parking. You can park probably 600 cars up there. That there are, that softball field along with the softball field at the middle school, the softball field at Lundy, you could have a tournament during the summer that would generate thousands of dollars that would not have to be discussed at any, there's different.
Right.
I just think there's a lot of potential.
There's a lot of
that's
potential.
not,
Yep.
addressed.
And you would work with Parks and Rec on that?
Absolutely, because they're gonna have to take care of it. So.
Right, right.
Yeah. But I mean, bathroom facilities up there, during the season, you have, during soccer, football, track, you have 7 to 10 porta potties. I don't know what a porta potty goes for a month, but there's gotta be a cost going on there where we used to have permanent toilets up there.
Yeah.
And, we had a fire, and
Yep.
they never got replaced. Now,
Yep.
we have a sewer that runs, it's a no-brainer.
Hook them up, maintain
Right.
it, lock them.
Right.
Simple.
Thank you.
If
One-
the lights are on, that's a big security plus.
Yep.
As far as walking lights and that.
one of the things that I would hope that additionally that would be looked at is to get some signing up there, okay, in regards to placement of trash. And the existing trash barrels that are up there are not adequate.
Right.
Okay? I mean, the
Agreed.
kids can pick them up, dump them all over the place. We need to look at
Maybe some other
getting
ones.
something like we have on Main Street,
Yeah.
okay? And if it becomes an issue where they're gonna try to dump these things, well, there's a very easy solution to that. You know, just get a little U-bolt and you bolt them right into the asphalt. Mr. Bruno and I, okay, had the unfortunate
We pick up
Endeavor
garbage
of-
up there all the time.
picking up
we-
garbage after a
We
young
pick up garbage quite a
gentleman.
bit. And
Oh,
just,
okay.
Pat, just to piggyback on what you're saying, I sent an email to Ernie DeStacy, Tim, and Dee Caruso about that. I kept Frank off of it.
Right.
But Dee is looking into Matthew's grants. In the past, she's gotten them for downtown, but Matthew's applications aren't open again until April, this coming April.
Yep.
So she's looking into maybe the Valley Community Foundation, but we're looking into it with those permanent receptacles that you can't move,
Right.
the wind can't blow around, and to position them in strategic places. And I think this committee needs to have say in that
Right.
and where they would go. I have an idea where I would put 4 or 5 of them, but depending on what they want to do. So we're looking at that,
Right.
just so you know.
Needs proper signage also.
Yeah, Dee's helping
Well,
out.
also the repeatability of pickup and all that other stuff.
Yeah, you got the right liner, you got it, yeah, all that.
And there's signs up there, no pets, no strollers inside the fence. Go up there, there's 4 moms walking, strollers, dads walking 3 dogs.
Yeah. There should be no animals on the track or the field.
Right
Yeah.
away that everybody wants to
Right,
have a ball.
right.
Now, my point was is that the containers up there are not adequate. I mean, if the kids are picking them up and they're throwing
Oh, yeah.
them
Well, I think
around,
the wind
garbage
too,
is
though,
all
Pat.
over the
And
place.
Not the defense.
It's not the right, we don't have the right tool
The
here.
wind blows them around.
Trying to eat the garbage.
Yeah, all that.
So can I have a motion on,
We have a motion.
We have a motion and a first, a first and a second.
all right, all in favor?
Could we
Aye.
read that motion?
Yep, that's why I wanted to read.
Make a motion to create the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee.
So I second it.
Yep,
Yeah, or-
all in favor?
I would like to amend the motion.
Okay,
I would like to add an amendment that the charge of the committee will be to review and make recommendations to the Board of Select Persons to enhance the sports complex.
did you get that, sir? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstains? Objections? Noes? Okay.
That
all
was
in
on the amendment.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Motion and amendment pass. Well, it's been a long
So I
night.
think if I
I
understood
made-
the intention of the Board of Select,
I made an amendment.
you made a motion to amend that was seconded by someone that vote was called for the amendment. Now you're voting on the motion.
The main motion.
As amended.
Yes.
Yes. I need one more vote to amend the motion.
No, the motion,
hate when
vote
people
on
do
the
this.
motion as amended.
Right.
To vote on the motion as amended. Motion by Bob.
Seconded.
Second by
Aye.
Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. 7-0, sorry. I forgot Pat was here. I forgot the appointments.
So now this has to be the new name?
Nope, I'm not doing the name. Yep, you're right.
I got it written down.
Good.
Maybe just put a note, maybe just put a note in that we will be amending in our records what it says here to what it is.
I'm going to be a nerd again.
Sarah, can you please amend the Seymour Heights, for the board, the Seymour High School Lights Committee to read, Trish,
Wildcat Sports Complex Committee.
Thank you. Danielle Cabazo, kill her last
Make a
name.
motion to
Capiziello.
appoint Danielle Capiziello to the Events and Parade Committee
Motion
for
by
a term
Trish.
of
Oh,
2 years.
sorry. Motion by Trish,
Seconded.
second by Chris Bowen, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Tim Sadek to the,
Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for until
completion.
Second motion?
Motion by Fred. Second by Bob, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just gonna go down the list.
Chair votes aye. Yep,
Brian Moore to the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for an appointment until completion.
So moved.
motion by Pat Lombardi, second by Chris Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0.
Make a motion.
7-0.
Make a motion to appoint Joe Domino to the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for an appointment until completion.
Motion by Bob Finley, second by Chris Bowen. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0.
Make a motion to appoint John Perry to the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for an appointment until completion.
Motion by Bob Finley,
Second.
second by Chris Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to appoint Dan Dunaj,
Dune.
okay, sorry about that, Dan. Appoint Dan Dene to the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for an appointment until completion.
Motion by Bob Finley,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. All in favor?
Aye.
Nerd question time. Can we have a 7-person appointed board? I thought the charter was amended to prevent 7.
We can go 7.
Not to prevent, you can have, but
You
you can
can
have
have.
it as low as.
Never as low, we can go as high as 7.
Okay, so that's not mandatory, okay.
No.
This is not a charter committee.
Nope.
This is a committee of this board, subcommittee, that this board
Okay.
is appointing outside of the charter.
I just wanted to make sure.
I believe chartered committees other than the Board of Finance, we are limited to 5.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but if this is not chartered, then.
It's not a charter
Right.
committee.
Make a motion to appoint Paul Sponheim.
Wait, we didn't do Dan Nugent.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Sorry.
Make
Go
a
ahead.
motion to appoint Paul Sponheimer to the Wildcat Sports Complex.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fred,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. All in favor?
Aye.
Appointment until completion. Make a motion to appoint Curtis Williams to the Wildcat Sports Complex Committee for an appointment until completion.
Motion by Bob, second by Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. No, thank you. Okay. Tax refunds and abatements, there's no tax refunds and abatements. Transfers, oh wait, there is tax
There
refunds
is,
and
oh,
abatements,
yeah.
sorry, I'm thinking transfers.
17063.
170.63.
Just one.
Just one?
Make a motion to accept the tax refund and abatements as presented.
Motion by Trish.
Seconded.
Second by Pat, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Transfers, there are no transfers. Sorry. Then we are on to correspondence. In your packet, you will see there is a police report from, I can say her name, right? From a resident regarding them hitting a rock on Buckingham Road. She said she saw Public Works over there weed whacking. I mean, you can read the report, it's all in the report. She's looking for us to pay for her tire. So you could take, it's not on our agenda to vote on, but you could take that, read it, and then we can discuss it at our next meeting. How's that? Everything is in that packet from the police report to photos. Okay? Then, what's that? I keep losing my page, I'm sorry, I apologize. Police report, okay. Also in your packet is a letter from Aquarion that I received, actually in today's mail. It's a notice of intent from Aquarion, Aquarion Water Company of Connecticut to file a amended rate schedule. This is a notice of intent to file an application to amend its existing rates. They want to raise their rates. The rates will affect the town people who have city water and city sewer in the town of Seymour, because if their water bill goes up, that means that their sewer rate bill goes up. The town has nothing that we can do about it. They do have public comment. We, as residents, can write letters to Pura asking that they don't allow them to raise their rates. We can write letters to our state rep asking them to go and speak on our behalf. But as you will see in the letter, it is affecting Beacon Falls, Derby, Seymour. Doesn't affect the Ansonia because the Ansonia has regional water authority. But we can ask our state reps to go in and speak our mind. We as taxpayers can write letters in for under public comment. Like I said, this will affect anybody who has city sewer or city water. So even if you have a septic but you have city water, it will affect you because it's your usage rate. Okay? So that's under Aquarion. Is there any public comment? Coach, come to the mic and state your name and address, please. Alex, sleeping?
Paul Steiner,
Sorry.
25 Delta Drive. Really not public comment, I'm responding to our tow report. There was no going out to bid. Seymour Police went, knocked on the doors of the out-of-town tow companies and asked them if they could come to tow. In regards to Pat's question about out-of-town trucking, not being able to, we understand that as tow companies that pay taxes in the town of Seymour. The whole thing is, for years, there were 4 companies in the town of Seymour that towed. One of them was a major problem that caused all of this being looked at. They have since taken their own name off of the list because they don't want to respond. So now there's only three town tow companies that are going on here. And for somebody to have to come from Beacon Falls to go to the bottom of Skokorat Street when there's 2 companies within a quarter of a mile of that, it doesn't make sense. But I just want you to know that the Seymour Police solicited the out-of-town, and it's for the people that are taxpayers of the town of Seymour feel like there's an underlying situation here of somebody looking to get out-of-towners into town. They're not going to pay taxes. You just had a company that's taken over the entire state of towing. Since this happened, bought property in Ansonia so they can be a tow company in Ansonia, and they will take over this entire area. I'll be upfront with you. I work at Armin Dregs, Greg is, Pat, you've been there?
Yep.
And nobody does it better, according to policemen, than him and Brian. They do an outstanding job. So for them to go out of town, because we have a new police chief, it just seems like things happened all of a sudden for no apparent reason. As far as data, well, and I know it's only been said to say that anybody from town took 7 hours to get to a location, I think that should be looked at. And all I'm doing is talking as a taxpayer, a friend to a person who I do work for, okay, but he's been loyal to this town as far as tow people. When Seymour Police needed to move 7 police cars that were down in Public Works, who'd they call? They called those 2 to do it. Now they're one of every 13 calls to get towed. And when you're trying to make a living, and that's a big chunk of it. Thank you for your time.
Do any other public comment? Any other public comment? No public comment. We'll go to Selectmen's public comment. This time we will start with Mr. Lombardi.
I'm good, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Bob Finley. Trish Dinka.
Just want to bring up that I'd like the town to look at allowing residents shortly before due to allowing taxes to be paid. Other towns allow it. I don't think we should be turning people away as they could be going on vacation, making sure that the funds they have are being spent in the right place. I'd appreciate that. And just going to, I brought up one of the comments to the Public Works Director, myself. Also, when we're giving phone numbers out of the select persons, we need to be asking for permission to be able to do that, because we shouldn't be giving out personal phone numbers. End of story. Without
You mean
such
cell
permission.
phone numbers, Trish?
Yes. If it's not a listed phone number, if it's somebody's personal cell phone number, it needs to be asked of the person if it is okay to share with people. It's not okay to be getting phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, midnight, because people are unhappy. And shame, shame I even have to say that, because I just think it's common courtesy. That's all I have.
Brenna?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Stanek?
I am good also, thank you.
Selectman Bowen?
I have nothing.
Okay. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Trish. All in favor?
Aye.
Woo.